Yeah, we're recording now. Okay, so that's fine. And Larry, can you see my desktop with the Equalities Toolkit website on?
Yes, I can.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's great. So Tim and David are a little bit familiar with this already, but I'll kind of begin as though you're new to it.
Okay.
So partnership website, just owned by the sector, shall we say. What you need to do is register by coming here, clicking projects login and creating an account. And then it isn't one of those automated ones. I do it manually and give you the necessary permissions. And the permissions I will give you will allow you to edit pages on here, so and also to access a forum. These are your menus down here. They're not across the top for accessibility reasons. We do tweet regularly, and there are daily tweets, so you're welcome to follow us if you like. Any latest news appears here, and when you have posted your content on this website, it will appear there as news, and we will tweet it for you as part of the kind of program of getting stuff out.
Okay.
Your projects are going to be located here in the case studies, along with previous years' equality and diversity projects. So there's a bit of blurb that now says 6 years of funding. The first 3 years are ostensibly on the Excellence Gateway, although that's quite hard to find, so you can click a link and find them on here as well. And then Tim and David were both involved in EDI4, and David was involved in EDIF last year, and all three of you are here today for this one. So this button takes you to the pages for the ECU project, which I may not have made live yet because obviously there's nothing there for people to see. But what will happen, if we take last year as an example, is there'd be a bit of blurb specifically about the ECU project, and then there would be some navigation buttons to help people find your projects, and that will include things like your provider name, where you're located, and stuff like that. Then each project has its own page, and on their page you put your content up. Okay, so if we go to National Star, as David's here, then you can have as many pages as you like. They all need to be joined up, though, if you go for multiple pages, so give us a shout if you're not used to doing that with websites. And essentially, this is your page to do what you want with, to share with the sector what you've achieved, what the lessons learned are for them, and what they would maybe have to do in order to take away or replicate what your success, if you like. And if it wasn't all success, then maybe there's some kind of help for people to realise the things that perhaps didn't work. So you can have one long page with everything on, or you can have several different pages. You can, as David's done, put videos up, and they can link to your own website if you've got one where they're appropriate, or if not, you can upload them to our website. And we do ask you at the end to include contact details, but you can see you can include news, resources, icons, learner feedback, etc., etc. David, do you want to say a little bit about what you remember of the experience of doing it?
It was very, very, very easy to do and very intuitive, and it is virtually just a menu across the top of the page for uploading pictures, uploading video, and you can position things on the page very easily. And so we created, as you can see there, all of those little icons for
I love this one.
Twitter and little icons to go with, like, the difference it has made and things like that, just to make it a bit more attractive and a little bit more digestible for people that are reading. But it didn't take long at all, and no complex things to learn.
Yeah, there's no coding needed at all. It's all done just as if you were doing a Word document, and I'll show you how to do that in a moment, but it's really straightforward. And you can be as kind of, you can make as little of a job of it as you want, or as big a job, because the good news...
Thank you.
Hello, Amma. We're just starting to go through this. So, Amma, we've got David Finch from National Star, Larry Cole from Careers Southwest, and Tim Strickland from FE Sussex. And I'm just going through kind of what people can do. So you can be as light touch or as detailed as you want this time, because obviously I'm not project managing. So I'm not nagging you, all right? This time there's no nagging.
That helped last time.
What NIAS will do this time is give you a page each, and then you put your stuff up, you tell us when you've done it, and we will take one look at it. And we will do two things. We will give you one set of advice on how you can change it if you want to. If you don't want to, that's entirely up to you, unless you've said something that clearly we wouldn't countenance on the website. And we will also tell you whether we think your outputs, so any resources, research, things like that you've produced, are good enough to go into our curated collection. If we think they're good enough for the curated collection, we will send it for peer review, and then it will be added to the curated collection. In a moment, I'll show you how that works. So I'm just going to log in. Larry, you need to join, and Tim, you're already joined. So
Yeah.
that will be kind of straightforward for you. So if I can try and remember my login, I was on a website doing that presentation downstairs, and could I remember what my name was? And the irony is, as you've seen, I used my first name and a version of that for my password. So there we go. So I'm in. So Larry, when you join, there'll be a kind of profile thing here. We have the ability to send you a private message. So that's like instant messenger. And so when we tell you about your page and whether it's good enough or not, that's how we'll do it. And you can see from previous messages that it's literally just an easy to and fro, but then you've got a permanent record of kind of what you're talking about, really. The other thing, just to show you on the profile, is we would really like you to fill in the personal information bit, not as much as I've done. Somebody said to me recently, David, no, they were trying to reassure somebody at a webinar who was presenting, so a learner was presenting the webinar, and the colleague, to make, it's Tom actually from Lou's project, he said to the learner, and don't worry, if you get stuck or you dry up, Katina will never run out of words. And I have to say, I'm reflecting on that daily. But anyway, so the gist is you don't have to write as much as me, all right? But just tell us that you're linked to your project so that when people want to ask you questions, if they're members of the website, they can find you in the network, okay? So that's the gist of that one. And what happens when you join, so we'll imagine this is Larry joining, is it comes to me for me to decide if you can join, and I say, yes, you're active. And then I tick whichever ones of these are appropriate for you. And you can see there's one here that says Forum ECU GPF projects. And what that means is once I've ticked that, you will be able to edit a page on the ECU projects pages, okay? And then further down, in terms of your projects, if you've got some kind of an avatar, or, your logo, anything, it does increase usability, people's kind of use of the website and of your content if they can just identify something there. I will automatically set this send while you're uploading your stuff to daily. So if there is something to do with you that will come to you daily, but afterwards you can change it to never. You can unjoin the website. You're not signing up for the rest of your life here, okay? So that's how the system for me getting you LinkedIn works. And then
will you, sorry, Katrina, will you do a sort of a reassessment of that? Because I know that in the last project, Employable, it was concerning a particular area which was employability, and now we're looking at LGBT and a different thing altogether.
Yes, what I'll do is I'll go back to yours. Anybody that's already a member, I'm giving them the new permission and taking off old permissions. But we haven't got very much in the forums going on at the moment anyway, so you won't get loads.
Okay.
Nobody's. I'm not funded to do any equalities work at the moment, really, except for this will be a little job we're doing for the MOU. So there's not a great deal of activity. This one is kind of, I'd be wrong. I mean, we've signed up about 200 people this year, so there is interest. But what we've been working on is mostly with the ETF around workforce rather than around learners, I guess, would be what I would say to you. So I'm just going to go and find Tim's page that I have created for him already. And I think you've seen it, haven't you, Tim?
Yes.
Yeah. And then we can show you and Larry how it kind of works, really. So if you just give the machine a moment. It's lovely internet.
I just tried logging Sorry, can I say I've just tried logging in here on my laptop and it won't let me in with my password at the moment. I don't know why. So
Oh, okay. If you need a reset, let me know.
yeah, I will do.
Okay, so
It's
this
the
is
username. We're using an email address, isn't it?
um, usually just give me 2 seconds, Tim. Oops. I'll solve that for you.
No, it's not usually your email. You usually have to set in a login name.
Right, okay, so I'm just going to find Tim for you. Oh, little tip, if anybody does not know this, I'm about to press, if you're on a Windows machine, it would be Control F, okay? And what happens when you press Control F on any website, anywhere, is a little dialog box comes up. And if you put in what you're looking for on that web page, it will highlight it. And it's absolutely wonderful for finding things in long lists or where you've lost them, okay? So you can see
Oh,
we've
right.
got 8
Is
Tims
that
in there.
Control Alt?
Control, no, Control F for Freddy. And
Okay.
any website, if you're on a Mac, it's Command F, but it's the
F,
same thing.
F for find.
Yeah, F for Finch even. And I have to say that whoever taught me it, it is the most useful shortcut anybody has ever given me. Okay, so here's you, Tim, now, and your username is Tim Strickland. So all lowercase, all one word. What I
Yeah,
can't
try that.
do is I can't tell you what your password is because you can see I can't see it.
Okay.
I can reset it for you now if you want, or you can try and get in and then let me know.
Is there a space between Tim and Strickland?
No, nothing. It's all one word, Tim Strickland.
That's probably where you're going wrong.
Oh, right. Now,
Sounds like he's in. Are you
actually, I am up running and all systems firing here.
okay, that's good. So I'm going to go to your page, Tim.
What about the
Yep.
website?
Okay, so you can see here we've got a page, and the author of this page is Tim. Now, I made Tim the author, and that's what I'll do for each one of you. As you're registered, I'll create your page, and I'll make you the author for it. Okay, so I can come in and interfere, but nobody else can. All right. If you want several of your team to be able to access it, let me know, and then I can tweak that as well. And then if we just go to Tim's page, what you will all get is a blank page like this, and Tim's obviously started to add content. So what you will see is you will see the page and 2 tabs, one that says view and one that says edit. View is what the public see, and you always check that before you've finished. Edit is where you go in and make all the singing and the dancing happen. I hope there's singing and dancing next week at your events.
Plenty of singing.
Okay, so you have to put a title in. I have to warn you, page titles don't really like any symbols or things. So the hyphen, the brackets, and the whatever, not very happy with it, but I've made it live with it. But if you do a title and you've put lots of symbols in and it won't take it, let me know because I do have to do a bit of coding then. You ignore this thing that says page type. You ignore the menu settings. You come down here. What you should see, and if you have any problems, let us know. What you should see is it's an edit bar here, and it works just like Word. Okay, so you can make things bold. So if we took that first line of Tim's and I want to make it bold, I can make it bold. If I want to unbold it, etc., etc. If I've got some stuff on my clipboard, I can paste it in. I don't know what might be on my clipboard, if anything.
Yeah, don't try that just now.
Oh, look, refuses to complete all 3 tools. Imagine somebody would refuse to do something I want them to do. So this works exactly like that. What you don't have, though, in the same way, is the ability to kind of put pictures in as easily as you do and hyperlinks. So that's what I want to show you is a couple of the little tricks on here. This works better if you type into it rather than you copy and paste. Even though you might think you're copying and pasting straightforward text, it will have lots of code with it. You know, that thing if you reveal all the kind of formatting of a Word document, you can see all sorts going on, and then that will throw the type out. If you must copy and paste, you can only copy and paste text. You can't copy and paste a picture. You have to upload that separately or differently, and I'll show you how to do that. So try not to copy and paste. What is the best way to do it if you are copying and pasting, is to paste the words into Notepad in Microsoft Office, and then that strips the code out, and then you can take it from Notepad and paste it and then just format it. So paste unformatted text in is fine usually, and then you format it afterwards. Now formatting really, really matters, okay? So do not change the font size or the font family. It has been deliberately set at Arial for accessibility. Here, for your headings, they are preset as well. So if you want a main heading, you click this little one and you choose heading 1 and you get this great big heading. If you later on have another heading, and in fact I've done it already, so the contact, you want that to be heading 2, it is heading 2. If you wanted to come down again to heading 3, then pick the format. Now the reason for this is partly accessibility, but it is actually that browsers like Google, they search page titles and then they search headings, but they have to have been set up as headings. If you just take a bit of text like that, you make it bold, you make it big, like that. If you do that, Google won't pick that up as a heading. So you'll think you've given people a load of headings that when they go to your to Google search, they would see different bits of your page highlighted, and they would pick it up so that when people search, they won't, because that is not actually a heading. But these ones have been pre-formatted as headings, and so they would get picked up by a browser. So that's why we insist on you using the ready-made headings. And I think lots of people don't realise that, to be honest. But it really, really makes a difference to, people finding what you've written about. Okay, so I'm just going to make that one paragraph. That's right. Okay, so imagine Tim's come in, he's just typed that, he's either finished or he's going to do some more tomorrow. Then all he does is he has a look at that, he scrolls down here, he clicks save, and then he takes a look at it. You can click preview, but to be honest, it's free to save. You can just go back and change it. It's free. So I always save, and then nothing can get lost. What we don't want you to do as you go down is to change this URL ever, because this URL, so the thing you put in your browser when you want to find a page, is how I link it up to all the navigation buttons. And last year we had great fun and games with projects deciding to change that, and then nothing worked on the navigation buttons. So please, please, please don't change that, but you can change anything else. So I'm now going to click save, and that would be Tim's page done if he was finished. And he would he would tell us, send us a message to say, I finished my page. We would go in and have a look, and then we would send you one shot at, things we think you could do to improve it. And those things might be presentation, they might be accessibility, or because the people doing the job are, also interested in equalities, they might say to you, oh, you might want to put a link to something else in there. One of the things the projects were quite bad about last year, I thought, so not saying they were bad, just that I thought, is that it wouldn't save, because Tim, you must be on your page at the same time as me, are you?
Yes, you want me to come off there?
No, I didn't want it to save, so that's fine. That's absolutely fine. But just alerting David and Larry, it doesn't send you these red messages normally. It's only because two of us are working on the same page. What projects didn't do much of last year is they didn't do much of saying, here's our project, and there were 4 other LGBT projects, and you can find them here. And we also recommend you look at the projects by X, Y, and Z. I don't know how much you've kind of collaborated this year, so I'm not suggesting you have to do it, but if it is something that you've done, it really does help people. Okay, so that's how text is added. Other things you might want to do is you might want to upload a document to show people something you've done. So I'm going to click the Edit tab again. After the edit area, you just keep scrolling down until you get to the section that says File Attachments, and you click that. And then just in the usual way, you click Choose File. That will take you to your computer. where you can select any document, that you want to upload. And here it tells you all the different documents, and they can be up to 32 megabits. If you've got something bigger than that, we need to upload it in a slightly different way. So again, just let me know, but it's very unlikely. And if the format you use isn't here, again, let me know and we can add it. So you can see I've chosen that file. It'll only appear if I attach it. And I can now do one of several things. I can change my mind and say I don't want it and click delete. I can decide, oh yeah, I want another document as well. Let's have that one. Okay, so I stick another document up, I attach that, and then I think, oh, I want that one to come first. So you just click this little thing and you move them around. So you can put them in the order that you want. So at the bottom of your page, they appear in the order you want. But you might think, well, I don't like that list at the bottom of my page. I don't want it to appear as a list. I'm going to take the URL instead, and I'm going to put that in my document. So you just copy the URL in the usual way, and you would go up to your page, and you would pop it into your page, and then you've got the URL there. Now, if you wanted to put it into some text instead, so it wasn't so ugly, you would highlight the text, you would click this little hyperlink button, and if you hover over all of them, it tells you what they are, and a dialog box comes up for you to put a hyperlink in. You would paste the hyperlink, and then you have to make a choice here, okay? So if you want them to go to somewhere else on this website, you leave the next target exactly as it is. But if the link you've just added takes them to a different website somewhere else, then you click this and you choose open a new window. And the way that that works is whenever you've been online and you're buying things and you go from one, say the Amazon website, and they take you to somewhere else, you'll notice that when you close down, that Amazon window is still there. So it's just one of those things to make the person come back to your website if you've taken them away from it. So it's just good practice. And then you need to put title in. Now the title is what people with a screen reader, so people who are partially sighted or blind and use a screen reader, that's what their screen reader will read out. So it's no good just going picture, which is what so many techie people do. You would have to say link to, so tell them it's a link, because otherwise their screen reader just reads out the next bit. So always, if it's a link, it's a link. If it's an image, you always say it's an image, because their screen reader won't read that out otherwise for the blind person. So link to document about blah, blah, blah. And then you come down and you save that or click insert, okay. I've never used, when I've put links in, I have never used any of these other tabs, okay, so I can't imagine that you would need to, although you might want to try. And now you can see that you've got a link there to wherever it is. And when we've saved the page, there you go. You can now read my title, link to document, blah, blah, blah. If I'd written a longer title, then that's what would appear there. Okay, if you want to put it in as a URL like this, this won't be a link until you make it a link. So it's the exact same process. You highlight it, you use the little chain link thing, you put the URL in, you decide whether it's this window or a different one. You put the title in, blah, 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 click insert. And now you can see that that's a link. Okay, so that's how you do hyperlinks. If you've changed your mind, you wished you hadn't put that link in there, you just highlight it and you do the unchain and it's gone. And I'm just going to highlight that and take it out because we didn't really want it. But so if you've got a document at the bottom, the idea is in order to encourage people to read it and use it, you weave it into your story, and you preferably weave it into the story by highlighting and linking some of your text. For people who use assistive technology, that is the best way. The worst thing is to say, if you want to read this, click here, because if somebody is listening to that, here could be HEAR, here could be HERE, and then the blind person doesn't know where to click. So if you say link to, then, this is a link to, they know to click that bit. So it's really, really critical. Otherwise, you're making it inaccessible for people who are blind and partially sighted. And that becomes really kind of quite important. So these are your documents. And if you've got documents at the bottom, this is how you get the URL. You just highlight it along there, and then you do the usual copy and paste. If you want them to show, you have this little list thing ticked. If you don't want them to show, you take it off. So I'm going to try and save this now. It might still be open with Tim, so I might not be able to. Yep, it's saved. So you can now see that at the bottom of Tim's page, we've got these two documents. We could choose to have them show or not, and we could have woven them into their story. Does that make sense? Any questions about that? How you get the documents and how you get links?
Sounds okay. Yeah, fine.
No, I'm fine.
Okay, that's good. So the next one I'm going to show you is how to get pictures in, because that's the other thing people often want to do. So again, we'll put you back to normal at the end, Tim. I'll let you know. So again, you come into this edit area, and there are a couple of accessibility rules again. And again, these are predominantly for people with screen readers. So somebody who's using a screen reader or VoiceOver, the VoiceOver will start with whatever is in the left-hand margin. So if you put a picture there, the person with a screen reader hasn't got a clue what the hell's going on this page. So pictures always should go on the right if possible, or if they're taking up a whole space, as in they've got no text with them, then they can go in the middle if you like. But the broad principle is stick them in the right. So you put the cursor where you want the picture to go, and you click this little icon with a tree, which if you hover over it says insert edit image. So I'm going to click that. You get another one of those dialog boxes come up, but this one is obviously for an image. And let's assume you want to upload an image that isn't on here already. So this is an image you need to look for on your computer. You wait for a moment or two, and a kind of upload box comes up. Okay, so all these things you can see over here are things I've already loaded up before, but I'll show you from the beginning how you upload. You go to the little upload button, you choose your file just like we did a moment ago, and you need to look for a picture. So if I go to my desktop, the chances are that I will have a screenshot. There you go, I've got a screenshot there. So I've taken that screenshot, and that's a PNG file. A little tip, again, that a techie person gave me is to always make a large thumbnail at the same time. It's free, it doesn't cost you anything, but what you will have is if you want to then, put a little icon or use it somewhere else, you've got the thumbnail. You click upload, and as if by magic, it appears over here in this area here.
Yeah, now what I had problems with last time was there was such an amount of files in the window there that sometimes I found it difficult to find the file that I'd actually just uploaded.
You're going to kick yourself now. First of all, they always appear above this grey line, but here you go, David. You're not going to believe this. If you click date,
you search by date. And it's the last thing you do.
And then
I don't think the date was the date on there last time.
The date, it's always been there. It's automatic. And the thing is, the date is the date you've added it. So it will always come up as the date you've just been on, 2 minutes ago. So just give me a minute and I'll scroll to the top.
I think it was looking also for files that I'd actually loaded up previously. Right. Because they'd be on a different day, and it's really how the convention in terms of naming the file. Can you actually search by alphabetical order on that?
You can search by name, so you can do that. Yeah. You could put it'll come up in alphabetical order, so numbers first, and then it'll come up in after anybody that used numbers. So you'll have all these pictures first. But if yours then said National Star each time, so NIACE, for example, if it's a NIACE document, I always start with NIACE, and then I know that it's something that I've uploaded that's NIACE. So
yeah, I mean, some of our staff had just loaded IMG, and it was like 1394, and of course it was a nightmare to actually find them. And then at the same time, it was a nightmare to know which IMG number.
Yeah. Okay.
Referred to. So
the secret is, if I was, I've been making a page on the mental health one. So what I do is I start a folder on my computer that's all the things that I'm going to put on that page, and I'll add to it over several days. It doesn't have to all be done in advance. And then I'll make sure they've all got sensible file names, so that when I upload them, I can find them. Now, the sensible file name might be the date for me. or it might be, that it's the kind of description of what it is that I've got. And then I know that I can probably find it. Now, if you're lucky, JPEGs always appear as pictures anyway in this list. So you can almost always find a JPEG that's been uploaded.
Okay, that's useful.
Or you can go to the one that is just pictures. So these are files created out of that list. And if you go to the pictures one, you see that these are all pictures. So if you know you're searching for a picture, if people have made that thumbnail thing, you'll see the pictures are there. And then you can find what you're looking for much easier.
Oh, that's great.
So that's kind of how it works. So in theory, if we go up to the top, we should find.
And is that everybody's files that are on
Yeah,
there?
that's everybody's files.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
So if you only want to keep them for you in one place, link them at the bottom, but it doesn't really work well for pictures. But if you just want to upload the files there on the bottom of your page and hide them and then weave them into your story, that's fine. And that would save you going through that rigmarole. I think sometimes I don't teach people a lot of things at once because they go, oh. So what's really good is that you and Tim have done bits of this before, so lots of it's making sense. I don't know how Larry's doing. How are you doing with it, Larry?
Fine.
Okay.
I'm understanding it as we're going a lot. When it comes to actually doing it, then I shall have to.
Well, you'll have the recording of this, and Emma, how are you doing with it? Emma, have we still got you?
Hello?
Oh,
Sorry, no.
Is it making sense?
I keep turning the mic off. It is making sense.
Okay.
But I'm in the fortunate position of not having to do a lot of what you guys have to do.
That's what she thinks, David.
I'll do that with
yeah, that's
Anyway, let's take one of these pictures. Let's put Tim's picture, okay, as if we're going to upload it. Now, here's the critical bit again. These two things here are for accessibility. So I am, it's a red rag to a bull not to do this bit correctly to me, all right? So the image description is what a screen reader is going to read out. So the first thing it needs to say is image of or screenshot of the FE Sussex logo. And then something like FE Sussex is one of the ECU GRP projects. And I probably wouldn't put the acronym because there's nothing worse than listening to a screen reader that reads out acronyms. So I probably would type in Equality Challenge Unit Good Practice project. So that's kind of what you would put in there. What is it called? Good Practice Fund, I think, wasn't it? Okay, and so that's what the screen reader will read out about that. But anybody else, though, who doesn't use a voiceover, what they need is the title, okay? And that helps them. The idea of that is it's to help you understand if perhaps you can't see pictures properly. So the fact, for example, that you've got green in your logo, Tim, means that if people have got red-green colour blindness, it'll be a bit of a struggle for the green. So what you're trying to do is give people who, for whatever reason, tunnel vision, colour blindness, might not be able to access it, a clue. So again, you would just say something like FE Sussex logo, and that would do, but at least they've got it. So now you've got the things for accessibility. The next bit you have to do is decide how huge do you want your picture to be. And this is something I've not cracked brilliantly yet, okay? So the first thing is that sizes are very deceptive. When you're working on the editor, you feel like you're working on a Word page, but they're not. So spaces and things like that are slightly different. So have a look, do it, have a look, change it is probably a process that for a little while you have to get used to.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. That was always a tricky one.
It is, isn't it? And it's very much, when you talk to techie people, they just guess it and they learn it after a while. So let's say, I think for lots of small images, 200 is quite nice. And then, because your image isn't always square, wait and see if the second measure comes up, and it usually will automatically. If you put a measure in, you'll distort the picture slightly. So put the first one in and then let it adjust it. I've already said
you're measuring in pixels here, though, aren't you?
Yeah, pixels. So it's a guess. That large thumbnail was 180, 200 for a logo. If I was doing a picture, I'd probably go for about 400 as the first dimension. Then I've mentioned that what we want to do is to put it on the right in order for people with screen readers to access it. The vertical and horizontal space is, do you want it to come down? You can see this little picture showing you where it goes. This is the same as you get on Word, isn't it? When you're putting a picture in and you decide where to put it. So do you want some space at the top here? If you do, you put the vertical space in there. So I don't know, let's put 25 in as an example. And you can see it moves it down. Did you see that difference there? So I had nothing in there before. And the picture's right at the top of the little box. I put 25 in and the picture drops down by 25. I might then want a bit more space between the text and the picture here, so I might put 25 in there as well. And you can see now where the picture is completely different, all right? So that's how you get that, how much space do I want around my picture? But bear in mind, a screen reader needs to be able to go read, picture, and then does your picture need a border around it? If it's got a border already, no. If it hasn't, just put a border in. One does that perfectly. Okay, shall we see what this looks like? And again, it's free to have a look, so it's only your time. There you go, look at that. Now if you looked at that, would you leave it like that or would you tweak it?
I'd move it.
Okay, where would you move it?
I might move it up a bit, I think.
Okay, yeah, if you get it to align, the screen reader will do better with it. So screen reader would read all this out because it would take it as a unit, then it would give you this. The other thing is I think it's slightly blurry and distorted, and I think we've made it too big for a logo, if that makes sense. So what I do is highlight the picture, go back into this little edit. You can right click as well to edit. So right click, you know how on Word, right click is always the answer to any problem. If you can't solve a problem, right click the mouse and the answer is usually there. So I could right click and I could go into here.
Don't try it at home.
Sorry?
Don't try it at home.
Right click on it. I find husbands, children, cats. Right click, yes.
Right click.
No, click, Amma. So I'm going to make this say 130 now. And if you watch, it will change the next setting automatically. I'm going to give us this space that we put in, and I'm going to get rid of the border, and I'm going to see what that looks like now. So I just do update. Now I have a much smaller but clearer. Now, if your pictures are very fuzzy, it means you haven't uploaded a good enough quality logo, but I'm not going there with your projects. It's up to you entirely. But that looks much better in terms of where it is and how it is. But you might hate it, and in which case you come in and you edit it and move it around. And I'm going to leave that one there as a challenge for you, Tim, to decide what you do with it.
Thank you.
Well, I might have done something you actually want to happen. Who knows? So that's how you upload photos and how you put links in. And I'm mindful of the time, so I'm not going to do very much more at all. The other couple of things that you might want, though, is you might want to put quotes in, from learners. So if we paste what's on my clipboard, if it's text. Oh, no, that's not text. Right there. Right, here's your little undo button. So just like on Word, if you've done something you didn't mean to, just click undo and it's gone. I'm just going to go to my notepad and grab a bit of text so that I can show you how to do quotes. So I'll just grab this bit of text here and then show you how you use it. So imagine I've cleaned this text of any formatting, all right? So I've popped it into Notepad before I paste it in. Then I paste it in here. And then what I do is I highlight it. And I click these two speech buttons here. And what they will do is they will indent it and they will create a space around it that's wider than if you were just typing, so that it's really clear that it's kind of a speech. If you still then want to put speech marks, feel free. Do you know what I mean? Entirely up to you. But that will look very different. Now, if you are somebody who likes to make this italic, you can. But just bear in mind that lots of people who are partially sighted find italics nigh on impossible to read. So that's just a little kind of extra tip. So that's how you would do quotes, and you could have several quotes, and it means they're always consistently set out and there's a bit of space around them created by the machine. So it looks nice, and consistency of appearance is that's why you pay your techie people a fortune, because they are prepared to be slightly anal and make sure everything all looks identical. As you might have gathered, I'm not very fond of things that all look identical, so I'm happier for a more free and easy approach to the world. If you decide that what you need to display your findings, let's say, is a table, click up here and you can put a table in. So this one would have 2 columns. Let's give it 3 columns and 2 rows. Same as usual. You just come down, click insert. There's your table. Start typing in it, and you'll see that you've got your table. And for anybody that wants to know, how do I make those coloured buttons, because you want buttons on your page, maybe if you're going to have more than one page, you highlight the cells, but only on a, actually I'll just have to, I'm going to take a column out, so I'm going to put my cursor in and I'm going to delete a column, and then I'm just going to highlight these 2 because I might want to make them into those fancy buttons. I go up to the editor, and just as the headings were preset, my buttons are preset depending on which colour I needed. There you go, I've now got buttons. And if I wanted those buttons to link to a second page, I would highlight what I'd written on the button, go into the hyperlink thing, drop in the hyperlink to wherever it is, you know, let's say it was to the website. Like so, put my title in, say it would open on a different window, click insert, and this button now, when we press save, would be a link to that other website. So if you've got 3 or 4 pages rather than one big long page, then that's how you do it. And generally speaking, good practice is that any single screenshot page should be about a screen's show, and then you have another page.
So how do you get another page, Doreen?
Okay, so you get another page by when you are logged in. Over here you'll see it says create content. Click create and you click a page. And lo and behold, you've got a new page.
And you can scroll backwards and forwards through the pages.
Yep.
How do you get back to the other page from the new?
So now to get back to the other one, strictly speaking, we needed to have kept the link to that one. And to make this one link to it. So I'm just going to make this a test for David. Whoops. Because we can delete it afterwards, okay. It won't let me save it until I've put something in there. So I'll put just anything in for now. And I'm going to click save. And what we've discovered, of course, is that I have completely forgotten to work out where the other page is. So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to take the link to this page and copy it. So stick it on my clipboard. And then because I've lost the other page, I can't remember what I've done with it. I can either search for it by putting Tim's name in, or yeah, let's do that. That's probably the easiest. Ooh, didn't mean for that to happen. Let's search for it because then you'll have some confidence in the search button. So Tim, is it EDIS? It is, isn't it?
Yes.
Equality and Diversity in Sussex. So there you go. We've searched it.
Edis, yeah.
Yeah, okay. So we can see his page has come up there. So we're back to the other one, David, and we've got the URL for that one. So now I would go into edit, and then I would come down to that button. Oh, of course, I haven't saved the version with the button. Okay, let's just put the link in. I would paste that link in, which is that test link. I would make it live by going into the little URL thing. I'll get rid of whatever's there already. It's exactly the same thing, but just testing. Make that a different window if I can. And test page. Okay, and click update. Okay, so that link is now live. If I save that page, next time we come in, we can click it and it will take us to the second page about now what is the Tim and David project. And if you want to put a link back to the other one, you would do the same in the other way. And that's why I use those navigation buttons.
So you suggest putting that hyperlink at the bottom of each page then?
Yeah, I tend to. Who did I do it for? Last year, I did, I think it was York. I did that for them. Angela just couldn't get her head around how to make her pages link up, but she had created about 10 pages. Look, you can see all the different pages. So I did hers for her, and I don't mind helping out like that, but I'm not doing everybody's all the time. And so what I did
that's why mine was a big long page.
I think I helped the people who, it's going to sound terrible, David, but the people who did it early, I had the energy and the time. Do you know what I mean? And then as I ran out of time, or as the team ran out of time. So what Angela did for hers all the way through was she got me to put this button. So when it says back to our main page, it's back to her main page. And when you go back to her main page, at the bottom of her main page, she put, these are her other pages. So she created 6 pages. And these buttons at each time took you to and from them. So what she did was, rather than just make pages, she put that link into her blogs. You remember everybody wrote blogs last year? So she made a page that was of her blogs, and then she put the links to all of her blogs here so that people could read her blogs. And then back to her main page. So you're like creating a little mini York Mindfulness website within a website. Do you know what I mean? But if you think about it, that's how it works anywhere you are, isn't it? You have a program and it's got several pages. So you're just creating some organization, and those buttons that we use are freely available. You know, literally it was make a table, put them in, put the links in. Slightly tedious, but once you get used to doing it and you realize it saves you having this page that goes on and on and on forever, it works quite nicely. That said, there was one page that went on forever that was so lovely that I would have never broken it up in a million years. And it was this one, which you will remember, David, well. So for Tim and Larry, this was a project from Newcastle Adult and Community Learning with the Twisting Ducks. And David actually features in a video of theirs on this. And they put a little bit of blurb in. Then they put, this is their long page, but just look at it. Now, do you know that the way they did this? Now, you can see they were wonderful. Every single one, they put the alt text in. They fought me every step of the way, but they have put the alt text in for people with screen readers. And this is actually a link to a video. So if you click it, you do go to one of their videos. And these were all photographs that they put through one of those bits of software that turns them into cartoon type things.
It's brilliant.
Isn't it wonderful? And so each one of these, you click it, it goes to something, the Easy Read Guide or whatever. And then, so this was a long page that I would never have broken up. And then right at the end, they've got sort of the usual stuff at the end, get in touch, and they put some attachments, booklets and things like that. But there was this huge button. So rather than my button, they'd created this lovely one. And that then took them off our site to their own blog that they kept already. And this was where they did the evaluation of their objectives. They put all their videos up again. And I think, David, there you are.
Bravo, absolutely. Oh,
there you are, bottom right.
I look 2 years younger.
2 years in one. And you can see, Be Still My Beating Heart, that they very, carefully made sure that the subtitles were great on all their videos and also that they signed them all. So they did, I can't tell you the rows we had at the beginning of their project, but they really came good in terms of the kind of, what they put up at the end. And ironically, we've ended up with a really strong kind of working relationship as a result. So sometimes there's a reason for a big long page. Broken up, that just wouldn't have the same impact, would it?
No.
But for others, breaking it up, so I think that Angela, when she did hers, said, oh, it's all just text, So I said, well, you do that by breaking it up all over several pages.
So how have they converted those cartoon strips into a readable format for someone who is using either a screen reader or a.
Okay, so each
You said that.
picture has got alt text behind it. So each one
Oh
of
right.
these is a separate picture, and each has alt text, and so that the screen reader picks up each one separately. Now, the person who didn't do that, do not tell her and get me into trouble, was Lou. Lou did a video and a couple of other things last year, and she didn't. They're not quite accessible, but I did let them go because she'd put so much effort into everything else. And I know that this year, clearly, she's kind of spent a lot of time looking at that sort of thing. So yeah, so they made all of these so that there's alt text behind them all. And
So in
they weren't
creating,
perfect, don't get me wrong. So that's the issue about whether they go in the curated collection. If you don't get it completely right, we might still put it in, but if it's rubbish on accessibility, that would be a criteria when we wouldn't put it into the curated collection.
so did you go through how to put alt text onto that, or did I miss that bit?
Okay, so I didn't, but I will show you that now. So you have done it. We did do it a minute ago. When we did Tim's image here, so we inserted his
So it
image,
classed as an
and
image.
I typed in what the image was going to have on it. So upload any old image I'm going to pick now just for speed for you. So when I picked an image and I chose that, imagine I've put the here, this is your alt text. So that's why it has to say image of the front cover. So that's what the screen reader would pick up. You and I, not using a screen reader, would just hover and see the title. So
And
cover
so
all.
in that image description, you would actually type what is in those speech bubbles
Yeah.
in the comic strip.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. That's exactly what you would
So
do.
that could be quite a bit of text in there then.
And it did take them a long time. And it's the same when I use pictures in documents, I'm like that, and my colleagues all groan. But if you ever sit with somebody with, I mean, you must do working where you are. If you sit with somebody's screen reader and you see their experience when you haven't done decent alt text, so the alt
Yeah,
text should enable you to close your eyes and somebody read it out to you, and you can now visualize what they've just told you. That's the acid test. And I feel like it's my broken record, to be honest. So this would be quite a full staff diversity diary from whatever year, 2015, which you can download from this website. So that would be some meaningful text for somebody who's blind, which most people don't stop and do. And if you asked our techie people at NIAS to do it, they would put in some ridiculous library reference to this image, image 7463, boom, that's all it would say. And here I would write a reasonably full title for people who use magnification, for example, and just go across it that way, and who might not pick out the detail of the picture. So that would say, cover where you can download it. And then that's it. That's your alt text. So that's what the screen reader would pick up. It would have the image, but the screen reader would pick up that text I've just written. Does that make sense? Does it help?
excellent.
Okay, so I'm going to do one last thing, and I'm not going to spend any time on it. When I talk about the curated collection, David, you probably know about it. This was the bane of my life last year, but Larry and Tim
Could I
won't
just
know.
ask a question before you go on to that?
Yeah, sure.
You've got a 32 meg file size
Yep.
for images, but obviously videos are going to consume a lot more than
Lovely.
that.
For videos, upload it to your YouTube. Give us the link, and we'll embed it for you.
Right,
Or
okay. It's a hyperlink to a YouTube. Right.
yeah, or you could, if you haven't got a YouTube channel that you want to use, you upload it to my YouTube channel. And once you're signed up, all of you are signed up. No, well, I'll do it individually. As you're signed up, I'll send you a little thing that gives you the password. But guess what? It's just the same. It's my name. And essentially then you can upload the video here to the Equalitie's Toolkit channel. And from last year, for example, you'll see that we have got... Oh, David, there you are again.
What?
Look, pictures of you again.
Oh, gosh.
So you'll find that for EDIF 2013, loads of people uploaded videos of all kinds, and they're here.
I think This year, there's quite a few people that have done films, because I'm aware that at both events they've got a film show.
Oh, right, okay. So they can upload, and the reason for uploading them here is then two things. One, if your link breaks, it's always somewhere else. The agency quite likes, if it's funded it, to kind of have a copy, because sometimes, this is going to sound awful, but organisations close down and then their websites close down and things like that, and they want to feel they've got this collection. The other thing is, obviously it brings traffic to both organisations. So if you put the link in yours and it breaks, we would just change it over. But also, it is nice to be able to go and do this collection. It's nice to be able to go and say, okay, so what happened video-wise for Edith? You know, and here you have a collection. And then each of these is also tagged into a playlist around the particular protected characteristic they were working on. So it is nice for the sector to have a collection of videos all in one place that you can go and look for. So we would urge you to get it, you know, to upload it to our YouTube channel as well as yours. But if you want the traffic to you, by all means, put the link in your story to your website so that you get the traffic. If you don't want the traffic, so Twisting Ducks like the traffic to go to them. So all of their videos linked to their website, not on here, but we have got all of their videos in our playlists, you know, so that they're there for posterity, really, or whatever else. And then the ones that are good enough go into the curated collection. And the curated collection is essentially the resources section on this website, which is actually on a different website. So it's now, you won't need to know about this, but it takes you off this website and takes you to a different one where people can search for things using clouds and tags and things like that. So I don't know, let's put disability and I don't know what will come up. And all the resources that are in this section have been tagged very carefully for what you find, but also, if you like, they're recommended by your peers. So we have a crowd of people, some staff, some learners, some volunteers, who volunteer to kind of put stuff up here and decide if it's good enough to be here. What that means is that somebody can come to the website and they can read your case study, but we are not saying, we're saying it was funded by the agency, we're not saying this is excellent practice. What we're saying, though, is if we've taken a resource from it, though, and added it to this collection, a jury of your peers, if you like, has looked at it and gauged it as being worthy of going into a curated collection that we're saying this is excellent practice. And that's how we deal with the issue that you've seen it a year on year, Tim and David. That's how we deal with the issue of some projects really just don't deliver, do they? Let's be honest. And what they do deliver sometimes is a bit interesting. So it's how we still give space to people and we still acknowledge the hard work they've put in. But actually, we also say that if you really got to find resources that you can use and trust, these are the ones we've curated for you and recommend. So we will look at your pages when you tell us you finished them. And if we think that there's something worthy of going in the curated collection, we'll tell you that, and then we'll send it for peer review. And again, you get one shot from the peer reviewer. If the peer reviewer finds one thing that's stopping them from putting it in, they'll come back and tell you, and it's up to you whether you want to make that change or not. If you don't, that's fine. We'll walk away from that and you'll just stay with your page. If you do, then it goes on there. And that's it, would you believe?
Marvellous.
Easy as that.
Yeah, there are screencasts. So if you want to do things like, you know, remember how to do pictures and want to do things like upload a DVD or anything, on here, as you can see, there's stuff about the crowd curated collection and whatever, but you'll find that there is also on here one of the playlists. Oh, just ignore me yakking on in the background. One of the playlists on here is a how to do. So how to do things on the Equalities Toolkit. And when you click it, there's screencasts with my voice, I'm afraid, but telling you how to upload resources, how to add images, whatever else, how to create a news item, how to write a blog. So if you get stuck...
Can I just ask you that? The deadline for uploading this stuff is when?
End of July.
Right.
And then we will do...
Thank you.
We will do the checking and the peer review during August. So what Fahana has asked me is to make sure that the finished stuff is ready for the new term. And I gather that ECU are going to be running, or you're going to be running with ECU, some webinars in October. Is that right? Oh, that might be news to you.
So yeah, that's
Okay,
news.
yeah,
Yes,
okay, sorry.
news to
Whoops.
us.
I might edit that bit out. So you're going to be running these webinars, and what they want is the materials to be there, ready, to show people on the webinars and things.
Okay.
I think that's dissemination this year. Don't quote me on it, all right?
No, we won't.
I'll ask
Is
Jonathan.
is that button live now then to log in and get onto your page?
Yours
Yes, it
isn't
is.
done yet,
I've
David.
done it.
I'll do your page tonight, if that's all right, David. And Larry, if you
Yeah, it's just I
register,
was trying to get
I'll do
onto it
yours.
earlier on. I thought, oh well, it won't be live until after you've done
Yeah,
this.
no. I did Tim because you wanted to go in the diary, didn't you, Tim? So I had to do that so that we had a link for the diary. And we have put a few
That's correct.
projects from what you've written in your ECU brochure. We have put a few projects in this year's diary, and Alex is just about to go to print. What we won't have, unfortunately, for you is any hard copy ones because I can't get anybody to fund them, of course. But we have squeezed the ability to at least get a diary which showcases some of your projects from the ECU website, or in Tim's case, from this website. There's a direct link.
Yeah. Katrina, is it likely there's going to be opportunities to apply for funding for next year?
It's going to sound awful. This, I can't believe I'm going to say this. You have to
You're
talk
asking
to
the wrong
Johan
person.
and wrong person.
Right.
I think you probably better ask that at the event tomorrow on Tuesday.
Yeah, and people did used to, didn't they, David? That's when the announcement was made. If there was an announcement, it used to be at the dissemination events that the agency would make an announcement of, and we're really pleased to say that next year,
I mean,
X,
that's
Y,
the
and Z.
assumption that it's still the Equality Challenge unit. I'm assuming that they'll still be set up to run things like this.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I don't. I suppose it'll depend whether they have to go out to tender again, like they did last year, or whether they can roll it. So those are all things for
It'll
Palmer.
still be the Skills Funding Agency, so it'll
Yeah,
just be badged under
whoever it is that
that
runs
as
it.
well. And do you know if Dan's involved again?
No, he's still doing his apprenticeship job, but I think you
Okay.
might find he comes to one of the events, which would be quite
Right,
nice,
okay.
wouldn't
It'd be
it?
nice to see him again,
Yeah, no, I think so. I mean, I've had odd emails during the course of the year, and quite often when he's been at events where he wants a case study, you know what he's like. He finds it for himself on the Equalities Toolkit. Then he sends me the link and he says, "I was thinking of highlighting this one. Is it the best one, or are there any others, or whatever?" So he uses it quite a bit. I mean, we have had a lot of traffic this year on the website. It does get used. Don't think that your stuff's not out there. Sally Betts has been running a big program for HOLEX, for adult community learning, and every session that she runs with them involves bringing them to this website to look for content. And then we did some pretty amazing stuff with ECU this year, so that's kind of been quite interesting. And I guess a bit of me hopes that by now you have all seen our wonderful video as well. And if
Oh,
not,
yes.
I'm gonna. Have you seen it?
Remind me.
Okay, I'm going to play you out with this. So stop at whatever point you've watched enough of this and heard enough. Okay, and thank you very much for
Does it
coming.
involve singing and dancing?
It's definitely.
Thanks, Katina.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks, then. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Are you sticking around, Katina?
Yeah.
Are there people singing on this?
Are there people doing
Oh,
what?
yeah,
There's
they
Brian.
are. Thank you for the data.
Katina,
Okay.
you won't be at any of the events, so
Yeah, I'm
you
coming to
sort of,
Manchester.
oh,
So
I
I'll
won't
see
see
you
you
at
then.
Manchester, yeah.
I'll be
I
at London.
Oh, okay. Well, you'll see a few people at that, David, from
Okay.
the team. But yeah, okay. So I'll no doubt I'll speak to you when you're doing your kind of web content and things. But it's been lovely to speak to you again today. Thank you.
Okay, take care, Katina.
Thank
Bye-bye.
Yeah,
you. Bye bye.
bye.
Thank you. Bye, guys. Bye.